Hey everyone, welcome to the Lab 14 walkthrough. So first we're going to be looking at the Gymnophiona, also known as the Caecilians. These are a group of legless amphibians. They have lost their limbs and girdles. They do have 2 rows of teeth and a tentacle sense organ at the mouth. Now, if you notice, they look kind of like an earthworm, but they're definitely not. They're vertebrates, they're amphibians, and that's just what they look like. Here's a bit of a close-up on their skeletal structure. They're just really cool, but definitely not worms. Amphibians, they're not legless lizards, they're not snakes. Definitely different. So the next group we're looking at are the Caudata, better known as salamanders. First, we're going to look at their larval state. So before they're adult, they're juveniles. They are decidedly aquatic at this point in time. And things that kind of indicate they are aquatic lifestyle is going to be right here. We've got those gills, those external gill fringes, and they have got this compressed tail, nice laterally compressed tail for swimming. Just ignore, there we go, let's do it like that. Okay, and then as they grow up, they're going to lose some of those features when they move to a terrestrial lifestyle. Amphibious, start in the water, and on land. As an adult, they're going to get eyelids, right? You need those if you're going to be on the land all the whole time. And so what you can see here, you've got this larval state, right? So juvenile just hatched. It still has its external gill fringes, a big compressed tail for swimming, and then as it moves along, next stage, that is harder than it looks to actually draw with a mouse. And then finally, an adult. All right, this is a tiger salamander. It's less life stages going on here. But as you can see, it's making that transition from aquatic lifestyle to terrestrial, amphibious. So one particular one that I think is just crazy cool is this thing called the Iberian ribbed newt. Okay, so first of all, it's poisonous. Not venomous, because it only secretes poison. Right? So that's why it is a viscous, poisonous fluid that you're only going to get it if you try to eat it. Right? So it is poisonous. But what makes it crazy is that it takes its ribs, right? It switches the angles of them and adopts this, what they call an inflated posture here, right? And then its ribs punch through its body wall. It uses its own ribs as spikes, and they come out of these little, orange warts on the side. It punches its own skin for defense. How crazy is that? Right? This bright orange signaling, I think it might be some sort of aposematic thing. Hey, it's going to be a bad day for you. And then once the danger passes, the ribs retract and the skin heals. I mean, this is like straight out Marvel comic. This is like Wolverine, man. Before he had those little implants, claws came out. Remember, he said they hurt every time. So they punch their skin with their own ribs. Look at that. How trippy is that? What? Love it. Moving on from there, we've got the Anoras. They're the frogs. Again, as they go through these life cycles, they're juvenile tadpoles. They are almost fish-like, right? But they're not fish. They're juvenile frogs, right? They're tadpoles. Swimming tail, right? They've got this spherical on the side here, but as you can see, just all those little body parts going on there, swimming around. But then again, they'll go from tadpole, polywog. Eventually, they're going to lose their tail as an adult, and they're going to look like a regular old frog, right? Um, Limbs, they go from having no limbs up here with this tadpole stage to having these asymmetrical limbs. So the rear hind limbs are much, much larger than their forelimbs. And as you'll see whenever we look at the skeleton in a second, their forelimbs only have 4 digits, as opposed to pretty much everything else that's going to have 5 digits. All right, so we've got some habitat types to look at. So pond dwelling, your classic, like this guy here, this classic American bullfrog, right? And they're mostly going to be living in or around an aquatic environment, right? You've got boreal, your tree dwelling arbor, right? Arboreals, that's just a regular tree frog. Things to look for there, those big pads on its fingers, Okay, then just gripping on things, and then you've got burrowing frogs. Right, much stubbier, more compact. What's going on there with the burrowing frog? So like, short legs all around, much wider, burrowing. You've got the American bullfrog, pond dwelling. And then look for the pads, the super long, super skinny, just really tapered form to its body, arboreal. And when we're looking at these frog skeletons, some of their apomorphies first. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 digits on its forelimbs. Just like I said in the lecture, it's got that tibia fibia has been fused into one, and the radius ulna has been fused into one. Asymmetrical, so you've got shorter forearms, and much longer hind limbs going on there. Again, if you were to do a frog dissection, I'm pretty sure I put the link in the video for you guys, or in the playlist, so you can watch the frog dissection. It's just really interesting. Luckily, we no longer do that. We have a prosected frog that looks pretty much like this all the time, preserved in fluid for you to look at, because stuff's nasty. It smells horrible. Moving on out of the amphibians, we go to the reptiles. Reptiles are going to be living almost entirely on land. There's always some sort of exception, but take a note of the skin, right? They got that beta carotene, so that soft keratin going on in the scales helps prevent it from getting dried out. Right? This is just your black rat snake. There's a couple different common names for it, but you zoom up close, it's those belly scales, right? It's going to help it slide along, and then it's got the top scales. And they have to shed their skin, right? Not quite ectozoans, right? But they do go through this shedding process to get bigger. Moving on from there, we've got the testudines. So these are going to be your turtle and tortoises. Carapace is going to be the whole shell. And if you look in here, plastron is just the underside. It's the belly plate, basically. But as you can see, the shell is part of its spine. Right? You cannot remove a turtle from its shell. That's like saying, can you remove you from your rib cage? You just can't do it. And these scutes, right? Scutes. This is this kind of a layer, this epidermal layer. So it's a living piece of skin, right? Just on the outside of that bone shell, right? And then that's what those are. Moving on from there, we've got the squamatas, part of the Reptilia family. Clade. So the squamatas, specifically looking at the lizards. They want you to be able to identify the different habitats that they can be dwelling in, they can be living in. Right, so you got a sand dweller. This is a fringe-toed lizard. It's got toes adapted for running on sand. Arboreal lizards, you're going to see some of them, not all of them. Some of them have this prehensile tail. They got these hands that are very adept at gripping onto things. We have in the lab, we've got a Jackson. This is Jackson's a chameleon that was, to put it mildly, too stupid to live. He was a pet for one of the other instructors, and it was on a branch in this guy's house, and it lifted up one leg to walk, lifted up a second leg to walk, and then lifted up a third leg to walk, and then it never put anything back down, and it just fell out of the guy's off the branch and broke its neck, and it died. Not the smartest thing. I would highly recommend looking up some videos of chameleons taking things out. It's really cool, and their eyes do this independent movement thing. But moving on from there, we've got this semi-aquatic. I'm not going to call them aquatic because they do live on land and in the water. But a really good example is going to be down here we've got the marine iguana. These things that found in the Galapagos Islands. They spend most of the time on land, and they go into the water to feed. Right? And they'll just be chomping on seagrass and algal, green algae and stuff. And then this is probably one of my favorite lizards of all time, just because it is the South American Jesus lizard, or Bacillus basilisk, common basilis as it's known. because when it gets panicked, it will run to the nearest edge of a body of water and run across its surface. Hence the South American Jesus lizard. How do you know it's semi-aquatic? It's got these laterally compressed tails. You can see there, it helps it do swimming when it does want to swim, and oftentimes they'll have these webbed feet. A burrowing lizard, right? This is a Pallas class lizard or the European legless lizard. It is a lizard, it's not a snake, and it just doesn't have any limbs. Right? The scale structure is different, and the head is much different. This is a lizard head, not a snake head. But burrowing, it's going to burrow itself into the ground. Right. And then we've got the sagebrush lizard. This is a nice example of just kind of a generalized terrestrial lizard. So it doesn't have any of these super specific features, meaning it can live in a little bit of sand, it can probably live in a little bit of urban environment. But this is one of our relatively local species. So take a look at that, you've probably seen them around. Moving on from the other half of the squamatas, we got the snakes. Right. This is the western diamondback rattlesnake. If you see it, do not mess with it. These things will mess you up. If you are interested in them, however, Dr. Clark has got 40 to 50 of them at any given time in the basement of our building. That's just what his lab does. They catch them, test them, and then release them. So yeah, look at that stuff. Crocodiles are next, right? So what features on these crocodiles will indicate really primarily aquatic existence? Well, again, you've got this massively laterally compressed tail, great paddle for swimming, right, going on here. It's got its eyes and its nostrils located at the very top of its head, so it can remain mostly submerged. This is probably one of craziest ones out there. This is the saltwater crocodile. The males can get up to 20 feet. Just to kind of put that into perspective, that's a 6 foot tall guy, right? That thing is massive, and it would mess you up. Okay, moving on, we got the aves, the birds. This is the first, what a lot of people call the first true bird. This is the Archaeopteryx. This is the artist rendition. In your manual, it should have what the actual fossilized one looked like, but it's got its feathers and it's got flight and it's doing its thing. Right? That is ancestor to all the modern birds. Now, when we're talking about the skeleton of birds, you can see this is what we're talking about, that keeled sternum here, right? Right down there, it's got these big projections to come out for all those muscle attachments. If you're going to be flying, you need a lot of muscle to do that. However, if you were to break these bones open in a scientific manner, you'd see that they're very hollow, very light. So you don't want to have big, heavy bones if you're trying to fly. It just doesn't work so well. Looking at the different feather types again, so you got peacock feathers for display, you've got these flight feathers for primary body feathers, and then you've got your insulation, big fluffy down feathers. Beak shape and structure, you're going to be able to just look at the chart that's in your manual, looking at the difference between like insect catchers and the sand probers, and the nectars and raptors. Because they don't have teeth, you can look at mammals' teeth and kind of determine what it eats or how it lives. But birds don't have teeth; they've only got their beaks and their bills. So water strainers are going to be a little more flat for straining stuff out of the surface. Think of a duck, but you've got eagles and raptors here, very sharp for ripping and tearing. You've got hummingbirds, right? They got to get their beak into the flowers. They can get the nectar way down there because they're going to be darting their tongues out. It's pretty cool. Alright, that's the end of the lab walkthrough. There's not going to be any videos to embed. Just make sure that you do the lab activity write-up within 24 hours of your lab period ending. Just get it to me as soon as you can. If you have any questions about the virtual field trip or the extra credit assignment, please don't hesitate to send me an email. And if you have any questions about anything else that's going on, shoot me an email. And yeah, practical 5, 6. Practical 6 is next week. It'll be on this material and the other material. Same format as before. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. All right. Take care. Stay safe. Bye.